everybody, how are you? Well, I would like to talk about the only other show that I'm really into other than Doctor Who, which is Once Upon a Time. Now, basically with Once Upon a Time, every storybook, fairy tale character, they have all been living in the Enchanted Forest, and thanks to their evil queen, Regina, they have all been transported to the fictional town of modern-day Storybrooke, Maine, where they have no idea who they are until this stranger named Emma comes into town with her son, Henry, and she breaks the curse, and everybody lives happily ever after. Or so we thought. So, one of the things I love about the show is just how it weaves together all these different characters that we never thought would ever interact with each other, and that's the genius behind the writing. I didn't come into the show until towards the end of season 1, and I saw one episode and that was it. I was hooked. I like the writing. I think they cast the show pretty good, and we're into season 3, and I think the show is really good. Now, for those who may be behind, season 1, we're introduced to everybody. We have the core characters. We have Prince Charming, Snow White, Rumpelstiltskin, the evil queen, Regina, and then we have our anti-hero of the show, Emma, who happens to be the daughter of both Snow White and Prince Charming. And then we have Emma's son, Henry, who is the one that convinces her that everybody's a fairy tale character and they just don't remember because of the evil curse. And then of course we have the evil queen, Regina, who happens to be Henry's adoptive mother. I hope I didn't lose it yet. So season 1, we learn who everybody is, and by the end of the season, the curse is broken and everybody begins to remember who they are. Now, season 2, we have the characters readjusting to knowing who they were in the past, but then we also have an incident where Snow and Regina and Emma end up back in the Enchanted Forest. And so with that season, it's basically them trying to get back to modern day Storybrooke. And towards the end of that season, we have these two thugs, Greg and Tamara, who we learn are hell-bent on destroying magic, and they almost end up destroying Storybrooke, and they end up kidnapping Henry, and they take him to where? They take him to Neverland, which is where we are with season 3. Now, for season 3 has been basically set in Neverland. We are trying to figure out why Henry has been taken, why Greg and Tamara have, kidnapped Henry to there, and also, as we have learned this past week, we've learned why Peter Pan needs Henry to be there. Now, I'm only familiar with Peter Pan through I believe it's 1953. The 1953 Disney animated feature. I have not read the J.M. Barrie books. I've not really seen anything else, so I'm not all that familiar with what the character of Peter Pan is really like. But Once Upon a Time's reimagining of Peter Pan is just... he is one kid you would not want to run into a dark alley. He is just sinister. So sinister, I would not want to run into him. So he has Henry captive because he needs the heart of the truest believer. So, while Peter Pan has Henry captive, we've had Snow, Charming, Emma, Regina, and one of the newest characters to join the show, the dashing Captain Hook. They've been journeying around Neverland to rescue Henry, and in the process they've also been joined by Rumpelstiltskin and Rumpelstiltskin's son, Balefire, aka Neil. They've been joining in the search party too. And it was this past Sunday that we finally learned Peter Pan's true identity. Spoilers. We have learned that Peter Pan is actually Rumpelstiltskin's father. Yes, I know. Totally mind-blowing. I couldn't believe it when they did that, because I had read an article like 2 or 3 days before the episode premiered that hinted they were going to be going there. And so when that reveal happened, I was like, yes, it was right. And then you just start piecing together everything. It's like, okay, we knew that was coming. So that revelation totally was amazing. And I have read a few spoilers as to what's going to happen next. Don't worry, I won't reveal them, but I'm very excited as to where everything's going. But I know it's a lot for me to explain as to what's going on, but I definitely recommend checking out Once Upon a Time. I mean, I love seeing which characters are coming into the show next, and I mean, you have Snow White interacting with Red Riding Hood, aka Ruby Lucas, who just happens to be a werewolf. And you have, I'm trying to think of who else has been featured. You've had the Mad Hatter, you've had Hansel and Gretel. The last season we were introduced to Robin Hood, who has become a semi-key player this season. Same with Captain Hook, played by the really dashing Colin O'Donoghue. Really improved on the look of Captain Hook. We've also have Belle from Beauty and the Beast. This season we were introduced to Ariel from The Little Mermaid, and also you can't have Neverland without Tinkerbell, so Tinkerbell's in there too. I'm going through the list of who else has been in there. We've had Lancelot, we've had Mulan. The one character that they were able to work in that I thought was genius, absolutely genius, was Victor Frankenstein. Yes, in the world of fairy tale characters, they've even included Dr. Victor Frankenstein. That episode is one of my favorites, especially because one thing I thought was genius about that episode was that during the Frankenstein story segments, everything was black and white, except for Rumpelstiltskin, who was in color. I thought that was perfect. Now, when we left off at the end of the last episode this past Sunday, let's see. How can things go any more worse? We have Rumpelstiltskin trapped in Pandora's box, which was supposed to get rid of Peter Pan, but didn't exactly happen as planned. Henry gave his heart